You may have heard of the Bitcoin ETF on the news, and it's great for adoption, but I'm here to tell you exactly what it is. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Crypto Compass, your guide to everything crypto. In this episode, we are going to take some time to discuss the Bitcoin ETF. Now let's begin with the elephant in the room, and that's the fact that Cointelegraph came out and said that Bitcoin ETF was approved, but then later came out and said it wasn't. It was a false statement, and it caused the price of Bitcoin to skyrocket and wick up to $30,000. But right after they took back that statement, Bitcoin came back down to $28,000. And during all of this, Cointelegraph profited from it. Now, this is a very obvious case of manipulation, and no one knows if Cointelegraph actually knew or didn't know of the Bitcoin ETF being approved. But I believe that this is just a market tactic for big companies like Cointelegraph to turn a profit. So what's going on right now is that there is a current Bitcoin ETF out there, but this is only for Bitcoin futures contracts. And that means that you are not buying the actual Bitcoin asset, but you're buying a futures contract for a future price that you feel like Bitcoin will hit. And as for the current Bitcoin ETFs that are going for approval and through the SEC, these Bitcoin ETFs are going to be spot Bitcoin. So they're going to be actual Bitcoin held through ETFs. And this has always been the goal from day one, so that people who are not necessarily in crypto can get their hands on Bitcoin. And for those of you who don't know, an ETF stands for exchange traded funds, and that just means it's a pool of investments very similar to mutual funds, but it can be traded on the stock market. We are currently waiting for these big companies to get approval for their Bitcoin ETF, and there are a bunch of companies that are doing this right now. The biggest one is BlackRock, which is one of the biggest investment managers and providers. On top of that, we have Grayscale and ARK Invest, and these aren't the only companies, just the bigger companies that are looking to push that Bitcoin spot ETF. Now, we've seen a constant battle between the SEC and these approvals, and the SEC always pushing back on these deadline dates. And currently we have a deadline for early next year, but who knows, that deadline may be pushed back too. At this point, in my opinion, I believe that the Bitcoin ETF is going to come around the Bitcoin halving, and that's going to happen in April of 2024. What tends to happen is that the SEC and these banks and these market makers want to channel these news events around big crypto events, so they don't want to be too early before the halving to release this Bitcoin ETF. They want to release it near the halving because the halving is usually followed by bull runs. Looking at all this information, we can all agree that the Bitcoin ETF is very bullish for the market as a whole. But looking at it as a contrarian, I want to say that I'm not betting anything because of the ETF. If the ETF doesn't get approved, I still believe the crypto market's going to be very strong next year going on into 2025. And currently we're sitting less than $30,000 for one Bitcoin, and I still believe that's super cheap. Obviously, you can time the market and really try to get in before this Bitcoin ETF approval, and yes, we'll see a spike in Bitcoin and maybe we'll jump up to $35,000 or $40,000, but why not get in now and think long term? Everyone has their own strategy, so if you're going short term, go for it, but if you're thinking long term, you might as well get in now. On top of all of this, we've also seen ethereum spot ETFs come out, and with both of these ETFs coming to the market, it gives people outside of crypto, more in the traditional markets, a chance to get into crypto. Honestly, this is very exciting news because the last cycle we were barely getting adoption, and now we're really seeing the adoption curve hit. Let me know where you think Bitcoin's going and give me a price prediction in the comment section below. And as always, if you have any questions about the Bitcoin ETF or anything else in the market, please reach out to me and I can get you set up in my coaching program. We can dive into these topics as well as topics you want to discuss. Nothing is off the table. Thank you for tuning into the video, and I hope you learned a lot about the Bitcoin ETF and its effect on the market. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.